Where does this leave us? Well, it's unfortunate first, and it's unfortunate, but it's also a call to realize something. Is the spiritual life is is how not to let the conditions that we're in determine the foundational condition of our heart. Likewise, not to let the conditions that we're in and how they become internalized in our heart as symptoms, anxiety, depression, worry, distress, to not even let those symptoms be the foundational foundations of our heart. And so there's certain things, even if the worst comes true, there's certain things that aren't affected by the election at all. One is this: we are who we are. I am who I am. I have the convictions of my heart that I live by. They can't rip my convictions of my heart away about who I am and how I try to live and what I'm about. I need to reinstate myself in my fidelity to the convictions of my own heart to walk my walk. So not to get, not to be naive about it, but also not to be kind of to get lost in it as if somehow it's over and I'm not even there anymore. Even deeper in all of this is the sovereignty of God. God is a presence that protects us from nothing, even as God unexplainably sustains us in all things this way. And so the world's always been like this. Jesus got executed. The Romans. I love this guy wrote Meeting Jesus Again for the First Time, the biblical scholar, Episcopal, I can't think of his name. He wrote a lovely book as a biblical scholar on the last week of Jesus' life, on the trial, the suffering, the crucifixion. He walked through it as scripture, this. And he made this observation. He said that Pontius Pilate was coming from Rome as procurator from Rome, with soldiers and swords and shields and horses and so on, coming into Jerusalem. And coming into Jerusalem from the other side was Jesus riding on a donkey. And people were waving palms, hey, Zana, hey, Zana, 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 hey. He said, the real question is, which parade do we belong to? And so it's the sovereignty of God. And so God, this is why God protects us from nothing, but God depends on us to do our best to protect ourselves and others from harm. And when harm is occurring, how to find the taproot of our heart and the love that sustains us in the stress. And what can we do to take incremental steps towards reestablishing a social order that's more consistent with the principles of a democracy, freedom by the people? And especially this, I heard a commentator once on a political commentator, he said the conservative approach is you obey and conform to the societal norm is the conservative approach. That's conservatism. The liberal approach is your own voice. I would say yes, we conform to the conservative norm, provided, and this is the liberal part of it, provided that the conservative norm doesn't exclude anybody. So I think we need to, the unfolding of, there's a saying, may the Buddha spare you from interesting times. And we're in interesting times. So the world's always been like this, with invasions and plagues and disasters. And this eloquent, beautiful, grace-filled, brutal, unfair, torturous, brief place called the world that God so loved, he sent his only begotten Son, who died in it. But the light of the resurrection shines bright through the brokenness of the hearts that turn to God this way. So that's my sense. And I also see it as a kind of a collective sense because I work with trauma for so long. There's like societal traumatization. So how can you find within yourself reserves of presence and strength that to get reestablished in that strength that's still there, but it's covered over by the reactivity of the trauma? How can you be reinstated in the truth of your own heart and the truth of your own faith and the truth of and just to walk your walk? So that's my sense of it.